Junkyard Junkie back here with another video. Today I'm going to go over the top 5 tools I would recommend to someone starting out working on their own vehicles, or even if you're going to be a mechanic. So let's get started. First, I would recommend getting screwdrivers. Any set will do. These actually have magnetic tips. I do like that. That feature comes in handy a lot. Honestly, I got this snap-on one right here, and it's got a very strong magnet, and this is my go-to screwdriver 9 times out of 10. But you need, a set so you have all different sizes. You don't know what you'll come across, and it's good to have a whole set. So that would be my first choice of what you should get. Okay, for the second tool on the tool list, I would highly suggest getting a ratchet and socket set. This is a Stanley I take to the Junkyard with me, but it does hold up well, and this will get you started and get you doing anything you need to do. You got your 3/8 and quarter, and you even got this little nut driver, so that's pretty handy. You got this set actually comes with standard and metric. If I was just starting today, I would focus more on metric, but this also comes with wrenches. I'll link this one in there. It's got spark plug sockets as well. But it's a really good set for the price. But if you don't want to go this big into it, you can just get yourself a nice ratchet and then buy you some nice chrome sockets. Right here I have a gear wrench flex head. I highly recommend getting a flex head, even if this is your first ratchet. They're just so versatile. Like, why would you not want that? This gear wrench has went up in price a good bit since I bought it. So honestly, if I was going to recommend you get a ratchet, I'll show you which one I'd recommend. It would be this Pittsburgh ratchet right here. This is the long version of the 3/8 flex head. Instead of having splines, it's just got a little lock screw in there. But you can get any angle you need. So if it's down there at a weird angle, you can get to it. But, these are really nice. If you have trouble with the flex head actually rocking back and forth when you do like that, like, to me that's not a big deal, but you can always take that screw out, put Loctite on it, and that will help it. But I recommend getting one of each size, 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. And for a 1/2 inch, I also recommend getting a breaker bar. For the breaker bar, once again, I recommend Pittsburgh. This breaker bar has been very good. It's kind of hard to screw up a breaker bar. I mean, there's not much to it. It can withstand a lot. This will help you get lug nuts off if you ain't got air tools or battery operated tools. This right here can get 90% of the stuff you need done. There's always a way. And if you're wondering what brand you should get, the reason I'm saying Pittsburgh is because of the price to quality ratio. But realistically, give me any set of tools and I will work with them. Like, when it comes to sockets, they may have not as good of a tolerance, so you want to get a little bit better quality with them, because they could round bolts easier. Like, I love snap-on sockets. They are very tight and very precise, but Craftsman does great. Tecton is one that I really do like a lot. And they're a good price point. Snap-on, you're paying for their name brand. I mean, they are the best tools out there by far, but they're not worth the money in my opinion. But when you're looking for stuff, you just want to make sure it's, good quality. For the most part, I'll go ahead and tell you, Chinese tools are usually the ones to stay away from. I haven't had good luck with those, but the ones made in Taiwan are usually really good quality. The only Chinese tools I like are Cobalt. They make really good pliers, and I haven't really got to mess with their sockets and stuff, but I've heard they're really good. So for sockets, if you're not going with a kit, just buy your own sockets. Buy any of them that are lifetime. Craftsman, Cobalt, all those you can take back. They don't argue with you. Pittsburgh. So honestly, you're not going to go wrong with them. And then you can get yourself trays if you buy your own sockets. So little trays like that these are for deep and shallow. These shallows are actually in my toolbox. But now there is a difference between sockets as well. You have your 6-point, as you can see, it's got 6 points. And then you have your 12 points. As you can see, there's 12 points. Now you may be asking, what should I get, 12 point or 6 point? Go with a 6 point. You are far less likely to round off nuts and bolts with the 6 point, but with a 12 point you can, and it's more likely to happen. 12 points are mainly for if you have a 12-point bolt, like on a drive shaft. It'll be a 12-point bolt, you'll see it, it'll look a little bit weird, and then you need one of these to get on there, but that's not the usual. So if I was just starting out, 6-point all the way. 3/8 is your main size I use. Some people love to use 1/4 the most, and then 1/2 inch is the one that you don't really need too many of. You want the big sockets to take off axle nuts and, you know, stuff like that. But as far as what you should get, I'd go with the 6-point 3/8, get the whole set, and then you can get a little storage tray like this to make it easy to find. And, you know, if you're not looking for tools, you're getting the job done quicker. So I recommend any kind of storage device. I'll show you my plier storage when we get to that. Okay, so now talking about electronics, I'm going to be a little bit of a cheat here and say that, you know, I got 3 different choices here because all this is for diagnostic work, and all 3 are pretty important to have, and they're relatively inexpensive. First, you have your scan tool. This is just a cheap one I picked up offline a while back. I think it cost 50 bucks, and there's so much you can do with this. You can get live data, you can look at your oxygen sensors, see what they're doing, lean or rich, or you can check just about anything, and this will help you diagnose a lot of stuff. It will also tell you your trouble codes, which will give you a general idea of where you need to go in your diagnostics. So by far, it's a must-have in my book. Even if you get a cheap one, it doesn't matter. Just something. Next, I would get a multimeter. So right here, this is a cheap one. You can get a Fluke. I have a Fluke right here, actually. But why spend all this money for one of these when this one right here can do just about everything you need? The only thing I suggest with this is make sure you get one that has like a little speaker volume right there. There you go. That's for continuity, and it will bing when you have, you know, continuity. So it's just really handy. But you want one that you can go to 20 volts or anything above 12 when working on cars. And with this one, you can actually, I'll show a video of how to use these later. But right here, you have your DC voltage, and then the squiggly line is for AC voltage. So you could actually check, you know, your house's power, make sure an outlet has, you know, 120 or, you know, whatever you need. So it's really versatile. Check your batteries with it. You can check your charging with it. You can hook this up to your battery whenever you got the engine running to see how much your alternator is producing. So it's just really handy. Definitely would recommend that. And then finally, good old test light. These things are literally, I don't know, I'd say, I think this was on sale at Harbor Freight for $4 this last week or so. You can get them online, $7, somewhere in there, but they're extremely cheap, and you can find your grounds, you can find your powers. Once again, I'm thinking about making a series of showing you how to use these tools for people that are just getting into it. That way, because you should never feel ashamed for any tools you get, and that you gotta learn to use them. We all have to learn how to use them. So take pride in it and be happy about it. But now we're going on to our fourth pick. So, okay, for tool set number 4 that I would recommend is pliers. Like I said earlier in the video, the only Chinese tools I like are Cobalt. These are Cobalt. These are the newer ones. I actually got some older ones. That's why I bought the newer set. But here's the old style Cobalt, and they've lasted so well. I went ahead and got another one for this toolbox. Okay, so for each plier, you know, they have their different advantages and disadvantages. This is great for getting little, you know, hose clamps off. You got your channel locks. Yes, I know they're not. Channel locks is the name of the brand, but everybody calls these channel locks. Another great one. Then you got your snips. This is great for pulling carter pins. That's what I usually use them for, but you can also cut things, your little cutting dikes. And then needle nose pliers. Needle nose pliers are amazing to have. I mean, you gotta have them. So on to our next pick. Okay guys, so once again, I definitely recommend having all these, you know, just ways to keep your tools organized. It makes your workflow better and easier. You're not scrambling. My grandpa always had just sockets and everything laying around, so he had to dig through everything to find it. I prefer organization, so I figured I'd show you these, what I use for my pliers. Just put them in there like that. That way I can find them when I need them. Find anyone that I need. Just like that. And they fit nice and neat. And while we're here, actually, I definitely recommend getting this real thick aluminum pipe. It's very lightweight, extremely lightweight. This is a smaller one I cut out, but you can cut really long ones. We call them cheater bars. That way you can take, you know, let's see, take your ratchet, and say you're on a bolt and you just can't get it to come loose, stick this over the end of it, give you that extra leverage to go ahead and get that bolt loose. So just figured I'd show you that real quick. So on to number 5. Okay, so for my honorable mentions, I'm gonna go ahead and say, you know, ratchet wrenches, because you need a set of wrenches. Ratchet wrenches are amazing. Makes the job a lot easier and faster. Gloves, I usually get the 9mm from Harbor Freight, but right now I got the dark light gloves. Just any kind of gloves. You don't want to get all that, you know, nasty oils and stuff into your, you know, bloodstream, because it goes through your skin. So you want to be able to protect yourself. So that and eyewear is a must. Then, actually just picked this one up. The Braun light. I've had the other one I've had for years and it's still going. It's broke, like completely snapped off right here and just like dangling by the cords. Still works. It's extremely bright. And then you also have that one. It's magnetic. It's got 180 degrees. I wish I would have bought more when they used to be 20 bucks. Now Harbor Freight realizes that they're a really good flashlight and they sell them for, I think, 35, maybe 40 bucks. Map gas with a little torch set, little trigger set. This is for stuck bolts, rusted bolts. So if you live in a rusty area, this is a must-have, I would believe. I don't, thank God, but It is helpful when I do need it. And then the last thing I'll say is extensions. You got your standard ones that are, you see it's just a square at the end, 3/8 drive right there. These are your standard ones. I like these because these other ones I'm about to show you, they're nice to have, but you're not always going to use them. Is these right here. They're called wobble extensions. And if you can see there, they have this almost like a bevel to them. And what that allows for is when you got your socket on there, you can actually get it where it can give you just enough to get where you need to go. So if you have a stuck bolt that's just a little bit off and you can't go straight on it, like it's tilted up just a little bit, this can make all the difference in the world. So highly recommend it. But be careful, because using them can waller out the inside of your drive, but they're nice to have and they're cheap. You can get, you know, those at Harbor Freight for next to nothing, or Home Depot, or wherever you like to go. And that's it. Now we'll go to my 5th choice of tools. Sorry, I have to add this in. When you do buy your extensions, definitely go for the ones that got the knurled grip. This will help when your hands are oily and all that. They'll give you something to grab and twist. So that's one big thing, and you want to get all the different sizes. So you got long ones and you got short ones, and just had to throw that in there real quick. Okay, so number 5. This is going to be a little bit of a mix, just because they're important tools to have, especially as a beginner, and even, you know, as you continue. Such as this. This would be probably my number 1 tool. A hammer, 3-pound sledgehammer. My grandpa always told me, you know, hit it with a hammer if it wasn't working, and it would somehow magically work. It was pretty fun. I understand why it works now, but like in the beginning, it just didn't make any sense to me, and that's kind of stuck with me. I love it, but this tool, you know, there's a chance of it coming out on every job. So that's part of set 5. I definitely recommend getting these. They're spark plug sockets, so they could be counted in with number 4 or number 2, whatever it was. But these are the magnetic ones. Can't really see in there, but there's 2 types of spark plug sockets. You got ones that got the little rubber gasket in here, so when the spark plug goes in there, the rubber gasket holds it and you pull it out, versus, you know, these, which are magnetic, which I'm telling you now, get magnetic ones. They are worth every penny. They've lasted so long. These are incredible. They grab it every time, and you ain't got to worry about that rubber ever getting brittle or just coming out, because that's the problem. You'll get, you know, one of these that have the little O-ring in there. You'll get on the spark plug, get it loose, and as you're taking the spark plug out, it'll stay on the spark plug, or it'll come out with it, but then it's on the spark plug and you don't notice it. You pull the spark plug out and it's no longer in there, and it just becomes a regular socket at that point. So that's in there. Got 2 more coming. We got oil filter pliers. These are extremely handy. Sometimes people go overboard putting on their oil filters. This will get them off. And if your hands are oily, you may have trouble. As a side note with that, hold on, I got one more tool. Okay, so as a side note to that one, I would also pick up one of these. Both are extremely inexpensive. This will go up on oil filter. As you start doing that, it'll torque down on it and spin it right off. This thing has yet to fail me. It will dig in. And this was, I don't know, 12 bucks. So these two kind of go together on that. But you know, when you first get started, oil changes are definitely going to be a big thing for you. And brake jobs. and that's where this thing comes in. Now you can buy a C-clamp and, you know, use the C-clamp to compress the brakes, but with this thing, it's so much easier. You just pump it and it brings it on out, compresses it really easy for you. It doesn't take much muscle or anything to do it. It's quick, efficient. I love this tool. I would never go back to using a C-clamp unless I had to use one, but it's just a really good tool. This one's about $25–30, so it's a little bit more pricey than what you're probably wanting to spend, but I'm telling you now, it's worth it. And if you continue working on cars, you will eventually buy it just because it's that handy. The cheaper alternative is one like this. It does the exact same thing. You just gotta use this little knob to screw it in, but it works just as good. As you can see, I had to JB weld it up to keep it on there. That's the problem, is this point right here is bad about braking. I've seen these break off down here. It works great. I've used this one a lot, so I mean, it works. But this one's about $10–11. I'll be trying to leave links for all of this in the description, but I definitely recommend you going with the Lyle. This is actually Lyle. They make wonderful tools. They're a bit expensive, but you just can't beat it. You can also get the one for the dual piston right here. This one actually just came in the other day. I lost my other ones. And then you can get the ones for the quad pistons, like on trucks and stuff. But if you have this one, you can do a dual piston. It's just you have to take your time going back and forth. So that would be my top 5 picks for tools that you should get started with. With those tools that I've showed you, you can do almost anything on a car. I mean, it's amazing how little you do need if you are willing to use your brain to get you further, because like there's always going to be a tool to make your life a little bit easier here and there, but if you have the basic tools, you can do so much with it. It's just amazing. So these are my top 5 picks. Let me know what you think. What's your top 5 picks? If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below. If you found this video helpful, please give me a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.